This is the second part of the video. And in this video, history repeats itself. I want to show similarities. Remember, guys, I'm speaking to Democrats and Republicans, but I'm mostly speaking to Republican, my party affiliation. Okay? Because I want you also to see what's going on and consider. I don't want you to get upset that, as I spoke before, if you're under reptilian brain, your IQ goes down, you get emotion, you get enraged or road rage type of mentality, and you're not going to be in your logical part of the brain. Okay? So I want you to listen so you can see the similarity. As I stated before, this is not about the immigrants crossing the border, because obviously we have to protect our borders, as I mentioned before, and I mentioned why, right? Trafficking, bringing in drugs, terrorists that could be coming. This is all planned. And in my opinion, remember I said both parties work together, right? They represent an elite. They don't represent we the people anymore. They've been bought by and paid for. But what I want to say is that both parties, basically the way I see, are in cahoots. You may not know that because they work for a higher authority, for the elites, part of the higher of the pyramid. Okay? And it's all planned. Why something like this happened? They allow a lot of immigrants to come in to then now be, detain them, inhumane. That's what I'm really about. It's the humanity going on. The lack of due process. It's not due process. Don't let them lie to you, because we know this for a fact, because even like I mentioned in the other video, a citizen veteran was detained. Okay. They didn't accept his paperwork, his license and all that. They thought it was fake. So what's basically going on is racial profile, right? If you speak Spanish right now, I'll tell you the truth, and you're an American, walk with your passport. I myself walking with the passport because honestly, I hate to be detained. I believe in my constitutional rights, and I'm a fighter. I'm a lover, but I'm also a fighter. I grew up in the hood, so my mentality could shift like that, and that's what I have to try to control, because I believe in my constitutional rights, and a lot of stuff that's going on right now is unconstitutional. I assure you that. Republicans, as a Republican that voted for Trump, I'm going to tell you this. We voted for secure borders, right? Democrats may not understand that, okay? And I'm sorry, Democrats, nothing against you, but I want you to hear me out, because we all have our reasons why you voted or why you believe, right? Me personally, as many Republicans, we don't believe on chopping off the penis of a little boy, right? There are cases right now going on with the father has gotten divorced from the mother, and they have to pay child support. And part of the child support is to get an operation where they have to basically cut his son's penis, when the mother, since he was small, always, oh, you're a girl, you're a girl, you're a girl. How true that is, I don't know, but this is an actual case that's going on. They're from Texas, and it's happening in California. And let's see what happens now with these changes of Donald Trump's, policies. So that, honestly, I'm against. Unless he's 18 years old, he can make his own mind. I'm against that. I'm also against, for example, a guy who changes his sex, going, for example, to the bathroom if my daughter's there. I'm telling you straight, I'm against that. Okay? I have nothing against LGBT, gays or whatever, because the fact of the matter is, I personally believe that's up to God. I'm not going to judge no one. I may not agree or whatever. That's their business. That's their problem. If they're sinning or they're right or wrong, we all sin. Like, I remember reading in the scripture, whoever feels afraid of sin, right? Cast the first stone. So I'm not here to judge nobody. That's between him or her and God. Period. But that being said, I also don't believe on, if they change the sex, for example, they go into boxing, right? For God's sake, and he was born as a man fighting against a female, because that's unfair. See, so these are the things that I honestly, that I voted for. But one of the most important things that I voted for was because I saw the injustice going on, right, with the genocidal Zionist regime. Okay, and I saw the Gaza and the Palestinian people being murdered, children killed, and I don't even want to say about October 7th. They keep mentioning that, when the fact of the matter is, it's been going on since before 1948, and I have a video on that as well, because that's the Balfour Declaration. This is Britain's fault, by the way. Okay, and I also personally believe, for those that are Republican and Christians, you got to start misinterpreting the Bible, because I tell you what, the fact of the matter is, we today have Chat GPT, and you can verify a lot of stuff. I understand that the Bible, indeed, and I'm sorry, I believe in God. I just don't believe religion. It was done to control man, And I personally, if you're going to believe anything, believe Revelations chapter 3, which is the last book of the Bible. And it tells you about the end of time. And it's describing about the fake, synagogues of Satan, right? So, we know for a fact Netanyahu and many others have changed their names when they started Israel. So that was not their original name. Why? Okay. If you believe those are the God's chosen people, you are mistaken. As a Christian, you're going to have to give count that's what you believe to God when you meet the maker. Okay. Because I don't understand how could you justify what's going on in today's world, in humanity, the killing of children and all that. And we are complicit of that because we are supporting them through what? Through funds, through weapons. We are now actually even over there fighting against the Houthis, who are trying to stop on international law, trying to stop Israel for committing war crimes. And instead of us applauding them and going, yay, what are we doing? We're here attacking them and civilians to the point so they could go back. And unfortunately, what we are doing as well, we're putting our servicemen in harm's way. And all this is planned because we know that, should I say Israel? The fact that they, for many years, be talking about atom bombs, nuclear bombs, and how we should attack Iran, and everything is Iran this, Iran that, because I know that we are eventually going to attack Iran. I have videos on this. I seen this before many, many years ago, before we were even in any conflict with Iran. And I think a lot of people are underestimating Iran. That's going to drag us into a major war. And Israel could pay the consequences, but so will us Americans. That being said, I want you to see the difference of what's going on. So that's why I no longer support Trump, because I cannot support somebody who has allowed a criminal into our country who basically is complicit of war crimes. Why? Because he's supporting those crimes. He's funding them. And if you are in denial, remember very clearly that Gaza, after they got into the ceasefire, basically he wanted them to move out to start building luxury waterfront properties, right? That is called, for those that don't know, it's called ethnic cleansing, okay? And that is illegal, okay? Under law, international law, it is illegal. So that right there, if you haven't woken up, I don't know what to tell you, okay? Like I told you, some things he might be doing good, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and I want you to see the comparison with the guy with the funny mustache. Remember in Germany? Because if I say his name, they're going to block me. So listen to this very carefully. And I'm going to start with that funny man. And let's do some comparison. Here it is. History repeats itself. The rise of the man with the strange mustache. Nearly a century ago, a troubled post-war nation opened the door for a charismatic, paranoid figure with grand promises and deep resentment. He claimed to fight for the forgotten man, to defend national pride, and to rescue his country from invaders, traitors, and global manipulators. The result? A regime of tyranny, genocide, and global devastation. National pride weaponized. The man with the unusual mustache promised to make, listen to this guy, Germany great again. I kid you not. Research this. He blamed the fall of the German nation on immigrants, communists, global bankers, Jews, and the Treaty of Versailles. By uniting the masses against the scapegoats, he offered them identity and power through hatred and exclusion. Sounds a little similar to right now. And I will reiterate, there was some truth to some of the stuff. Don't get me wrong. One of the truth was the Rothschild dynasty that goes back even before with France and Britain were at war, especially under Napoleon, and they lied, and France was bankrupt, Britain as well, and then he invested in the stock market, okay, when the stock market went down because his team was alleging that France won, and then he bought up the whole stock market. You can look into this. He has some point to it, but the point is that now he was blaming everybody. He became paranoid. I mean, they did it. I'm going to read on and watch some comparison with today. The failed coup that built his movement. In 1923, his attempted coup failed, but it became a gift. The Beer Hall Putsch didn't end his ambition. It amplified them. His trial was turned into a political rally. He served a minimal sentence, wrote a book while in prison, and emerged with a larger following. Manufacture crisis and emergency power. In 1933, the Reichstag fire, widely believed to have been staged or exploited, became the pretext for the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended civil liberties. Soon after, the Enabling Act was passed, giving him unchecked legislative power. Democracy dissolved into dictatorship almost overnight. Dissolving opposition. He systematically dismantled all political opposition, first legally, then violently. Loyalists were rewarded. Critics disappeared. Even members of his own party weren't safe. The infamous Night of the Long Knives saw the elimination of perceived internal threats. Propaganda and thought control. He took control of the media, banned opposing viewpoints, burned books, and used state-sponsored messaging to reprogram society. Children were indoctrinated in schools. Informants were everywhere. Free thought became a crime. Listen to that, because again, he started controlling the media. All right. Informants, just like right now, I'll get later into the fact we have informants, but I'll get later. So the secret police, the Gestapo, the secret police targeted Jews, Roma, basically LGBT people. They wasn't called that at the time, but they were, the gays, the lesbians, all that. Jehovah's Witnesses, disabled citizen, and anyone who dared criticize the regime. People were detained without charges, deported, tortured, or killed. The illusion of the legal process disappeared. Expansion through war and ethnic cleansing. Under the guise of protecting national security and heritage, he launched wars and committed genocides. Millions died. The world watched, some in disbelief, some in denial, some complicit. That's the first part of the guy with the mustache. Part 2, the new authoritarian echoes, right? Or history repeats itself. Now, nearly a century later, we see familiar patterns. Framed in new colors, wrapped in different flag, while echoing the same dangerous drumbeat. America first, but at what cost? Remember, Germany first? Make Germany great again? President Trump political resurgence enrooted in the American first slogan, but benefits it lies the same rhetoric of exclusion, targeting immigrants, Muslim, the press, and political opponents. His version of nationalism isolates America, hardens hearts, and aligns with authoritarian regimes. Immigrants treated as subhuman. Today, migrants, many fleeing persecution or war, are being detained for weeks, even months, without due process. Reports of inhumane conditions, forced hysterectomies, child separation, and denial of legal counsel mirrors early stages of the internment practices from darker historical times. Keep in mind my accent sometimes, but I'll put it up there so you can see it. The Gestapo vibe returns. Masked men, believed to be ICE or federal agents, have been documented detaining student protesters with no identification, no charges, and transporting them across state lines. One student advocate has reportedly disappeared into federal custody with no contact or legal representation. Her whereabouts unknown. This is not a hyperbole. This is the Gestapo behavior in 2025. Free speech targeted. The First Amendment is under direct assault. Peaceful protesters have been beaten, gassed, or detained. Whistleblowers and journalists have faced retaliation. Dissent is labeled treason. This is the hallmark of totalitarianism. Disagreement is not tolerated, and truth becomes subversion. Surveillance and border overreach. As the United States border, American citizens are having their phones searched without warrants or probable cause. CBP agents claim constitutional rights do not apply here. Travelers are being interrogated for political content, criticism of Trump, or support for Palestine. This is not national security. This is an ideological policy. Enabling international atrocities. Trump's unwavering support for Netanyahu, right-wing regime in Israel, while they bomb Gaza, deny humanitarian aid, and openly engage in ethnic cleansing, has placed the United States squarely on the wrong side of history. Thousands of children and women have died in Gaza. Aid is blocked, hospitals destroyed, and yet we fund more weapons, shield war crimes in international courts, and demonize those protesting the genocide. War by proxy and the silence of conscience. While claiming to avoid new wars, Trump has placed the United States troops in harm's way, fighting Houthis not to protect America, but to defend a regime committing mass atrocities. Meanwhile, Americans asking questions are branded unpatriotic, their voices stifled. Who's next? First is the immigrants. Then is the protesters. Then is the writers, the LGBTQ community, the Muslims, the atheists, the environmentalists, the journalists, and eventually anyone who says no. That's how it happened last time. That's how it's happening right now. This isn't about left or right, Republicans or Democrats. This is about human dignity versus authoritarian rule. It is about recognizing where patriotism becomes a weapon, when law is used as a tool of repression, and where power goes unchecked. If we wait until it is undeniable, it may be already to be too late. Because the scariest part of history repeating itself is not the evil, it's how slowly, quietly, and legally it begins. The man with the strange mustache didn't seize power in one day. He took one freedom at a time. We have a choice, but only if we are paying attention. And I'm going to end with this, guys. I'm going to remind the military and anyone who has served or who has sworn an oath under the Constitution of the United States or even the state constitution. And I read the oath before the other video, which basically says, I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of officers appointed over me according to the regulation and the uniform code of the military justice. So help me God. Now, the uniform code clearly states, protect the rights of the accused through legal due process. It's a lot more, guys. You could chat GPT this, verify this, fact check me if you think I'm exaggerating. These are all facts. But remember, and I'll read it again, swore to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Not the president, not the party, not the Congress, but the Constitution of the United States. Against what? Against all enemy, foreign and domestic. I hope he doesn't go to this extent, but I feel it, I see it, because someone who doesn't care about killing babies in Gaza, children, someone who lied to us America first, and it seems like it's Israel first. What people say, allies. Someone who's bombing the Houthis right now. They could let they bombing us. Listen, we are over there. They're not over here. Okay? We need to mind our business. And what are we really protecting? We're protecting foreign interests. Yeah, there might be some interest to America, but I think we will do better if we work with all these Middle Eastern countries, because anything, Israel, what brought to us is demise. You know this to be a fact. Iraq, 1.5 million civilians died under the lies of Netanyahu and Mossad with weapons of mass destruction. And obviously, who benefits? Companies. Companies owned by this elite. They create all these wars. They make billions of dollars. And then you and I pay for it. We pay for it. Thus, our taxes increases. Thus, inflation happens, which is why you see maybe you can't even afford a home right now, right? You need to get paid over $110,000 to simply qualify for a home of $340,000 in today's interest rate. Come on, guys. Wake up. Wake up. I can no longer support a man who supports a genocide and war crimes, because I have to answer not only to myself, but to a higher authority. For those of you, if you think you're on the right side of history, those of you who are Christians and believe in Christianity, is that something Jesus would do? You think God will not hold you accountable when your taxes are going to kill other people and you do nothing, you remain silent? There's a saying that says, evil persists because of good men that do nothing. I hope I help you see the similarities. You can verify this. DeepSeek, ChatGPT, fact check me. These are facts. Please like, comment, and share. Wake up, people, because things are getting scary. God bless.